everybody. Welcome back to Mystics at the Grocery Store. We're here for another episode. This is our fourth episode. We're just tallying them along, cranking them out for you all. And I will say we appreciate the comments and engagement and all the love and all of our biggest fans.
Thanks, Lauren. And
yeah,
Stina.
Shout out. Anyways, I am Rosalyn, one of your co-hosts. I'm joined by Melinda and Adrienne, and we are here this week to talk about the divine feminine, which is a very beautiful and lovely topic. We really thought of this idea when kind of reflecting on kind of like the act of nurturer, the act of kind of grocery store in a way, like gatherer in a way. And so as always, we will break it down. But before that, I'd love to check in. How we doing, ladies?
I'll jump in. I am feeling good. Hi, it's Melinda, everybody. And just been making sure my mom, who's the mother goddess of this house, the great mother, just making sure she has her ice to cool her hot face. And that's pretty much all I do in my extracurriculars, as you ladies know. But otherwise, I think it's beautiful to allow people to be who they are, how they need to be, and support them in that. If they want ice for their face, get them ice for their face. And, that's where I'm at right now. Otherwise, I'm just having a really beautiful time teaching students and preparing for a beautiful show that's coming up at a state fair where we will be presenting the divine feminine in all its glory. So we're excited about that.
Exciting.
Mm-hmm. How about you, Adrienne?
Well, for me, once we kind of talk about a topic, I just kind of let it settle in and see what actually starts to come up for me. So, for me, my brain started going through all the different levels of the divine feminine, the recognition that there is a divine feminine, and then the inspiration that you feel of, well, maybe could one day I be like the divine feminine with that ease and grace. And then, before that, maybe it's, wouldn't that be cool if I was like that, or if I had those qualities? And then after it's, can I be? And then actually it's, you embody that whole energetic fluff, whatever it is that you want to call it. And then you get to that level that you realize you created that for yourself.
Yeah.
And then you start to see yourself as a divine, and as a divine temple, you treat yourself better, you speak to yourself better, you eat better things, things that you think better, things that you've chosen to incorporate into, practices that you've decided to incorporate into day-to-day habits. So that's kind of like where I am right now.
Yeah. And I think before we jump in, it might be helpful, just a few bullet points of how we understand divine feminine maybe. And even if we want to kind of maybe compare that to divine masculine too, so we see the reflection. But I think to me, divine feminine is both softness and strength. It's the higher frequency of that innate nurturer, as well as the just feminine force, just the feminine force that can be protective and caretaking, all of that kind of sense, but just in the highest frequency, coupled against divine masculine, which is, really action and the spark and the inspiration and the Yeah, the higher frequency of the kind of like the big idea or the big kind of just driving force. The divine feminine is the receptive quality of that. So what do you think, Melinda? How do you kind of view that?
That tracks. That's like this, the Shakti energy, the energy. I feel it in terms of that. The energy of a fully alive body, all systems interconnected, and you know and then there's these within the body, there's like this upward, like the Shakti rising or the Kundalini rising idea, that, and then the Shiva, the divine masculine, is like the energy that's going down from the heavens through the body, and they're sort of constantly, the divine marriage is us, anybody. It doesn't matter what your biological gender is, but we all have aspects of both. And ideally, there's this divine marriage of the two kind of vibes within our, that they're supposed to meet in the third eye, kind of like unite our divine masculine side and our divine feminine, or our rational side or our intuitive side. And there's so many approaches to talking about it. And then I think about just the Mother Earth. I'm sure we'll get into her, but like Gaia, like in the ancient Greek myth of origin stories, she is the divine womb, the matrix of it all. Is first thing that happens is out of this void comes matter, which is the mother and the matrix. And it's just, when we acknowledge ourselves as holy in our bodies, then we're really coming into connection with the divine feminine. For me, as a dancer, I would put it that way to students, I guess. I have, before Adrienne shares, I just want to share this incredible passage from the Spiral Dance. I just was finding it right before we came on, and it's from this lady Starhawk,
Like her
Spiral
name.
Dance. It's a wonderful book, and she's kind of in the Wicca tradition, but she also is an incredible force still. She has an Instagram. She speaks of the earth. She speaks of the divine feminine, and the subtitle is A Rebirth of the Ancient Religion of the Great Goddess. And it has rituals in here and incantations and all kinds of things. But I think this will be a nice little thing to play with too. She says, the importance of the goddess symbol for women cannot be overstressed. The image of the goddess inspires women to see ourselves as divine, our bodies as sacred, the changing phases of our lives as holy, our aggression as healthy, our anger as purifying, and our power to nurture and create, but also limit and destroy when necessary, as the very force that sustains all life. Through the goddess, we can discover our strength, enlighten our minds, own our bodies, and celebrate our emotions. We can move beyond narrow, constricting roles and become whole. And she goes on to talk about how the goddess is also important for men as well, just in terms of getting in touch with their sacred feminine side and receptive side and feelings, etc. But isn't that beautiful?
Oh, beautiful.
That was
It says it all. It's mic
there's
drop.
nothing else to say. There it is.
Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about you, Adrienne? What comes up for you?
I think of firm and flexible. And my immediate thought is to just go to some type of palm tree. I don't know if it's because they're all around me at this point in time, but as a hurricane comes, what happens to that palm tree? And that firm and flexible, Is it going to be so rigid that it's just going to snap, or is it going to be like, okay, pass through me? I know this is something that you've got to do, and then comes back up, that kind of a thing. And then the creativity, of course, always the creativity, and with ease and grace comes to mind as well. And when I think of the masculine, the divine masculine, oh my gosh, the courage to just try anything, and you may have your little fears in the background, but you're like, you know what? This is me. I'm unique. Here I go. I'm going after it. And just to have that courage and to be humble with that courage, knowing that that's something that you are, that you have. The King of Pentacles comes to mind, things like that.
Yeah. It's funny you say that, because in class today, I pulled the breathing goddess and I was like, how perfect. Our wonderful little divine feminine example of just, the message of just having everything you need within and being able to then create out of that force of knowing you have everything you need. And I think too, I think of divine feminine as a very receptive energy, but not a passive energy. I don't see it as I guess there's times to sit and wait and observe, but not in an inactive state. It's always an active observation or active choice of being receptive, being calm, being in waiting, or whatever it might be.
What's coming to me is in consideration of, you're in a state of in consideration. Mm-hmm. You're like, okay, I consider. I consider.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
interesting.
It's like when you just said that, Rosalyn, I was just feeling that, the chalice, but with feelers, it doesn't mean, it's not like trying. There's not a grasping, but there's you're not turned off and going dark, your awareness is there, and you're sitting in the enjoyment almost of the emptiness, or, just what will drop in, the question, the allowing. Yeah.
Yeah. There's so much.
There's so much.
There's so much.
So much.
So much. But we will not linger there. We could have a whole episode on just talking about that. We will move on, of course, to our weather for our next couple of weeks. And Adrienne will grace us with her astrological knowledge.
Astrological learnings. These are learnings. It's still very active with me.
To be fair, in terms of divine feminine, I feel like I am no master. I am still very much learning to embody that as a female and just as a human, learning always.
I think we're going to circle back around to that mastering part of it. So when you hear me say that word, you're going to chime in and you're going to be like, oh, is that what's coming up for me? We're coming through this eclipse season, and, at this point we're right in the middle of it, and we're enjoying it. Of course, we're enjoying all the differences, all the pivots that it's asking us to make. And, I put out the question where, have you give consideration to where your pivot is leading you at this point in time? And did you release control to it, to the universe, to allow the course correction, or did you just hold on to it nice and tight? Are you still fighting it, or did you surrender to it? And that was on the 7th. And we have all these supporters that are coming in throughout the rest of the month to help us let go of, release, weed out things that are no longer beneficial at this point in time. They need to be downcycled, recycled, as mulch, as manure, whatever is going to be nurturing for us. So that first day that it's going to occur is on September 18th. And Mercury is moving into Libra in the first house. So it's like I'm like 0 degrees in the first house, having a good time, partying. And it's learning about diplomacy. It's learning about the me and the we. Um, and it's coming out of discernment and the what is my role in everything, learning about what is the role in everything, but still making a pivot right there. And it's coming into some lovely, lovely conversations with Uranus and Pluto and Neptune. And with Uranus, those unexpected changes and radical changes, thunderbolt kind of things that are going on in Gemini, broadcasting, communication, in retrograde. Let's review our broadcasting, our communication, with discernment. But it's a radical change because it's going to be different than what we've been speaking or looking for or the information that we're gathering. But we're in retrograde going, okay, well, yeah, I like that one still. Let's move this one over. We're going to move this. Let me think about this one a little bit longer. So, and it's also in a trine with Pluto, and we could talk about Pluto. Pluto is out of bounds right now, and what that briefly means is the sun has this reach around all of the planets. It can reach all the planets. Imagine, you're the mom and you can reach all of your children at one time. One child is out of your reach. That's considered out of bounds. And Pluto is just doing its support that way with being a little bit out of bounds and transforming, but transforming extremely big, but also supporting that transformation. Because it's like, yeah, we have the power to be unique. And then it's going to shift all that with all the different trines that it's making on everyone the rest of this month. Okay. And I know that's a lot, but then it's coming into an opposition with Neptune, which is about dissolving illusions. We're releasing, we're weeding things out, we're being discerned, we're being extremely diplomatic. It's a radical change. And now we're dissolving illusions. So you've got the dissolving illusions over here. If you think about the oppositions, obviously they're on opposite ends, they're on polarities, but when they're on opposite ends, they're kind of telling you, this is the border, there's the border, go in between, take a little bit of each one of them. So it's accepting what's happening. It's going to happen. It's in your face, and it's accepting it. So releasing any illusions around inaction. Okay, it's still in retrograde, so it's looking at these things and going, okay, where did that inaction come from? Where did that feeling come from? Where did that old whatever come from? Is it an illusion? Is it something I dreamed up all by myself? So it's thinking about all these things. And you've got all these wonderful aspects that are going on. You've got the boundaries, the aspects keeping you right on line. So you're staying in the canoe, going up the water. And then you've got these lovely trines supporting your transformation, supporting your release of things that are no longer serving you, things that you've been gathering that are just weighing you down. And it's just, the universe is like, pivot. That's it. Okay, that's just on the 18th alone. Thoughts on that, girls?
That's loaded. That's a loaded day.
And this is a 999 day.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot. Yeah, that just as you were talking, I was like, that's the divine feminine. It's like in terms of astrology, just makes room for it all. All of everything happening is within, there is just, it's all allowed. The action is going, and there's just this feeling of the divine feminine just holding it all in awareness and making room for it to grow and to even go out of bounds. The out of bounds thing is really interesting to me. I can't quite picture it. Like, how do you go out of bounds in the astrological, yeah, what does it look like,
So
Adrienne? Like,
if you can imagine, there's a belt that all the planets travel within. Okay. And the sun can reach the outside of the belt and it can reach below the belt. Now, if a planet happens to go out of bounds, it's gone out of the reach of the sun. It's gone over. And it's 26 degrees and 23 minutes both ways. That's the sun's span. That's all it's got, your wingspan. So if you imagine that wingspan and now something's going outside that wingspan, either to the south or the north, and that means something totally different if it's the south or the north, but that's a totally different podcast right there. But it's allowed that freedom and it's allowed that extremeness because it's outside. It's like a crazy teenager that just had a house party and is having another one because the parents are still out of town. Okay. It may go really wonderfully, or it may just be like, oh, who are you and where did you come from kind of a thing, but it's very much supported because it's Pluto and because it's in Aquarius and it's in retrograde. So you got the test in front of you. You've taken it. You get time to review it again, and you're reviewing it with an Aquarius look of a little unique, a little your own little thing, a little innovative. Just an amazing energy to be supporting us at this point in time.
can you talk a little bit about, again, just for people who may not be familiar, and just for me, in terms of mythology, have an understanding of Pluto, okay, being a certain god. But how do you break down the energy of Pluto? Just like some words.
Just a few words.
I want to connect it back to the divine feminine. I have an idea, but I don't know if it'll apply.
Well, it's destruction. It's transformation. Think of the phoenix. It's transformation with some discomfort. And you're knowing that you're going through this discomfort because Pluto is one of the professors. He wrote the gosh darn syllabus. He knows what's going to happen. But there's empowerment through that dis-ease, through that transformation, through that pain. And that's the energies that I associate with Pluto.
Okay. So from the mythological perspective, he's the god of the underworld, where you go when you die. And
all your truths are revealed at that point in time. Everything, just all the cards out.
Yeah, like the ego, identity is like, it could be metaphorical, right? Yeah, you have to release, like it forces you to release masks, right? Masks may crumble in the presence of Pluto energy. And there's the myth of Persephone, who, like Pluto or Hades, basically steals her and kidnaps her, right, from the above world, takes her down to the underworld. And at that time, it's her mother is Demeter, who's connected to Mother Earth, to the nature and the seasons and the crops, and and so when Persephone is taken, Demeter stops allowing anything to grow for a while, just until and so it's winter, nobody's getting anything to eat. Persephone, this is her daughter, is in the underworld, undergoing her own transformation now, and in a sense, and she refuses to eat for a while, but then she finally takes the 6 pomegranate seeds, and so she can stay there for 6 months. And then there's also a sense of her kind of getting initiated in the realm of Pluto into womanhood now, because she takes what his seed, so to speak.
She's saying it's so wonderfully polite.
I'm trying not to be seventh grader, okay? For once. Come on. You're breaking my cover.
I'm sorry.
Ah. Okay, Adrienne. Fine. Anyway, but no, seriously, she takes his seed and she enjoys it. Okay? And it's in the realm of Pluto. I think this connects. I'm not sure you're going to help me. So
No. Okay, I'm good. Okay, I can do this. Okay.
I'm talking about profound mythological relevance. At your
Yes, ma'am.
yes, okay, and we're connecting it to the stars.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so Persephone is down there. She's getting it on. She's enjoying it. And her mother is upset, understandably, because as to watch the daughter, to release the daughter, to watch her now transform into the next passage. Like there's a lot of change, like you said, Pluto, change, like transformation, like boom, so much change is happening. Demeter is now like trying desperately to get her daughter back, and she's going to the gods, and she's like, "Come on, everybody, tell that guy to spit her back up, out of the earth." And finally, there's some negotiations, and the gods are like, "Dude, we got to share.
You were wrong.
We got to share.
You shouldn't have just snatched her out of the earth. Can't do that.
Just share.
Can't do that."
So then there's an agreement that for 6 months she'll come back, and and Demeter, they're reunited, and so there's spring, and then there's summer, and the flowering, and the beauty and the blossoming of earth. And then Persephone goes back, and she's queen of the underworld, and she has her time there. So my point is, and there is no point, no, but that's a myth where this came to mind because the divine feminine is so embedded within that story of Pluto and that transformation of identity into becoming like the mature aspects of who we're meant to be, and to also coming into a knowing of what we could enjoy, something we've never experienced before. And, I think that's all part of like the breathing goddess vibe. I'm just throwing this out there as help me, Rosalyn. make it make sense.
Well, we're shaking up the frequencies because the internet blipped out, and I'm just hoping everything stays connected and recording properly. No, I think it's totally just this. I mean, what was coming to my mind was, when in the female form are we not transforming? I feel like we are never the same version twice. And so every time that we're talking about Persephone returning and coming back, and then just imagining the two different lives to live within those realms, and the roles and the responsibilities and the expectations.
You guys are hitting
like
on keywords today. Keywords.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it really is. It's like, that is the feminine story, the female story, it feels like, of, yeah, I just keep coming back to like roles, expectations,
cycles.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I think it definitely relates to divine feminine as a whole, just by how we see, I'm sure there's probably points within that story where her strength is shown. I mean, she becomes queen of the underworld, so it's not like she's just
she
there.
owns it.
Like,
she owns it.
Yeah.
She owns it, and she doesn't. She wants to be there. It's her choice. I mean, getting beyond. This is mythological, archetypal story, so it's not like, oh my God, he her, and it's not at all that.
Yeah.
She's
She didn't take that
empowered.
seed.
She she voluntarily ate the seed.
Mm-hmm.
So just
She was like,
yeah,
all right, I'll eat it.
it tastes good.
Yeah.
I'll eat it.
But yeah, I mean, she becomes queen. So it's just that energy of like, out of every transformation and every part of the feminine, whether the female physical story or the divine feminine, there is a mastery, Adrienne. There is a mastery to be gained in each phase of that transformation. So yeah, I think that's super fascinating for sure. And we are wildly out of the weather, but let us return.
No, you're really, really not, because, with Mercury going into Libra, you can kind of like bring this back around because, it's looking at what's best for the collective as far as its transformation, like that Libra energy, like what's best, how best to explain it. So I can kind of circle that back around to Persephone, like thinking about
Rules
She
Libra.
was definitely
Who rules Libra?
Venus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think she might be some kind of divine feminine.
I agree.
Definitely.
I agree. So
But yes, I mean, Persephone's choice was what's best for all.
Yeah.
yeah, and she balanced it out, 6 and 6, or the negotiations, the diplomacy gave it, 6 and 6. So that was a perfect segue into that. Perfect. And speaking of Venus, on the 19th, she moves into Virgo at 0 degrees. We talked a little bit about that. So she's like at the very beginning of experiencing this dance and this Virgo energy, in which she is craving deep relationships, okay? Deep friendships, but she's vetting them. She's like, hold on, are you worthy of me? Okay. And then she's creating some amazing conversations as well. She's going to be in conjunct with the moon in the 11th house. So again, editing, weeding things out. What do I need? What do I want? That's why the vetting is occurring in the relationships. Also in a trine with Chiron in Aries. So Chiron in Aries is saying, let's take action, let's release, let's weed. But it's also in retrograde. So that discernment is still there, but let's review what's being weeded. How did it get here? How do we maybe not have it come back? Is it an old story that's this weed? Like, are we tired of plucking this weed out, kind of a thing? And then it creates a square to Uranus with that lightning bolt, broadcasting and gathering again. And for me, this kind of represents like, do I need to gather more information? Do I need to get into more circles? Maybe I just take a moment because I'm in retrograde. Let me review my circles that I'm in. Let me review my communities that I'm in. Let me review what knowledge I have. Maybe file it away in the brain and then go on to something else. But let me just sit here for just a bit. And one of the other aspects, I feel like it's a key aspect, is that it's going to also be in a trine with Jupiter in Cancer and the 10th house, and the North Node in Pisces in the 5th. And you've got the pleasure and the creativity of joyful childhood types of things, and then that 10th career. So I'm feeling like there's some kind of expansion, because that North Node is where you're going. That's your path. And there's some type of expansion coming through that's going to be career-based for somebody, and it's going to expand. It could be us, here we are doing this thing that we were like, oh, it would be really cool if, and then we were like, well, let's do, and they were like, really? Let's do it. But the challenge is reviewing your daily habits and making sure you got that Saturn over here, just making that serious boundary, saying, go into the middle, get into the middle, okay? Looking at your routines and how you serve and how you serve others. And that kind of brings me into whether or not you're a servant or a slave. But I'm going to let you guys touch a little bit about what I just said about the 19th, with Venus coming into Mercury at 0 degrees, like just starting this plotting.
Rosalyn? Do you have
Yeah, I also keep, and this might not be related to that, but I keep coming back to how in our last episode we talked about our syllabus and we kind of like laid out the groundwork for the time ahead. And this time in September just feels so much like perfecting that. And like you're saying, weeding out what needs to be removed, like all the retrograding and all of that energy just feels very purifying, I guess, in a way. Like this is a time to be real with yourself in what is serving or not serving, and really take the steps to maybe not just yet, but begin to let the things that need to be left weeded or left behind go. And I think that's really huge for sure. But I don't know if that related to Venus.
Well, I feel like I think it can, because you said, Adrienne, correct me if I'm wrong, Venus in Mercury, right?
No, Venus in Virgo. Sorry. Did I say
Venus
Mercury?
in Virgo.
Yeah, Venus is in Virgo.
Okay, Venus in Virgo. So same idea, because Mercury rules Virgo. So, there's a connection. But Venus in Virgo, and Virgo is the energy of discerning and sorting, as you were just saying. But then Venus is the energy of like doing it all with love, with so the words that we use to talk about the process, and to the energy of that process, to be Venusian rather than like a stern Saturnian, kind of like, it must be weeded, take it out. But no,
and Venus is going in, and she's like, let me pull this. And
she's like,
it does smell lovely, but it goes in the garbage.
And she's like, oh, that wasn't that story didn't serve me.
Thank you, story.
But thank you, story. I love you anyway. Like that person was an a-hole, but I see them in their true nature. I see them as, I'm just going to use my discerning boundary to lovingly detach, just like, so I feel like that it just paints that wash of gratitude, and again, the embrace of all that is, with the divine feminine aspect of that is Venus. Like, love is all. So when we do these difficult, quote unquote, well, they are difficult. It's weeding is not easy. And I will tell you, I am not a weeder, so I don't know what I'm talking about, but I've seen people weed, and it doesn't look easy to me.
It looks exhausting.
I am so tired. But it's creating room for, like, it's creating room for the beautiful life, right? To grow.
And tidiness.
To grow.
Tidiness and preparing the space.
Yeah, giving the beautiful rose the chance to not be choked, and to be as big and glorious as she can be. So that's how I'm making her part of what I'm piggybacking on Rosalyn. Yes, I think they go together.
I can see it, and I definitely agree with it. I do see Venus as a divine feminine, and I can see her like walking through the garden, just like plucking out, well, you're no longer needed. Put it in the backpack, or maybe put it in the mulcher over there to be ground down into, like some kind of nutrient for those things that, you really are an authentic connection to, and wanting to continue to have a firm foundation in it. So,
Yeah, that's really beautiful.
and then, and this is really the last thing. Oh, it's not the last thing, but the new moon, the new moon solar eclipse, the partial solar eclipse on the 21st. That's ending the eclipse season for us. So, the eclipse season is about relationships and polarities. You know, your relationship to the polarities. And the polarities relationship to each other. I guess you could just like really intertwine it like that. But in that partial solar eclipse, the new moon, we're going to be starting something new, breaking old patterns. Have we been talking about this already? Right? Mm-hmm. You're making a pivotal change. It may be uncertain, but there's a sliver of light because it's a partial eclipse. So there's a sliver. You can still see some things going on. And I wrote down here, practice to make perfect. And we talked about perfection a little while ago. So it's saying, yes, the focus is for practice to make perfect, but continue on with your practice, but don't be stuck in the perfection part of it. Okay. The fact that this new moon partial solar eclipse is occurring at Virgo at 29 degrees. We talked about 29 degrees. This is the mastery level of Virgo. I've learned all the things I needed to learn in this space right now, all the energies, all the perspectives, all the lessons, getting ready to graduate into Libra. Okay, so the 29th degrees is considered an anaretic degree, and it's the mastery of that level of whatever sign it's been following through or going into for the last 29 degrees. Okay. And for me, I was looking, it really hit hard about, daily habits and routines. And the South Node has been traveling, is currently still traveling, and that same essence of Virgo with the perfectionism, but it's going direct. So right now it's saying, release that whole perfectionism thing. Perfection of the old visions and things like, my value is placed on how much I produce. Is that really how you think of your value? Can we like rethink this a little bit? And this is where it's coming in about being in service, because it can be distorted. We can be in so much of service to others that we forget to be in service to ourselves. So that whole slave versus servant thing. Are you a slave to something versus being a servant? Where do you want to be? So here we got those polarities again. Where is it that you want to be? Everybody, like all those oppositions, are saying, follow the middle path. Release any rigidity. Practice trust over micromanaging type of things. Like just trust that everything is going to be okay, because you've set that groundwork. You've set that foundation with those weeds that were growing alongside of everything beautiful that you've created. You're creating this mulch with them to put down for later on. Mulch is not the right word. What's it called? Compost. To use later on as it becomes more of a nutrient, when it goes into its nutrient phase, like all things do. Ash becomes nutrients. So, and then, you're following it up by the sun, right, going into Libra right after this, the very next day. And having those same kind of trines with Uranus, having oppositions with Saturn, the challenges, being the responsible communicator that's in charge of everybody, in retrograde, wait a minute. I know this is my superpower. I know I can be disciplined. I know I can have responsibilities, but you need to use them wisely so that you don't get burnt out. So again, you're getting called to that middle path between those oppositions. Those trines are also saying the middle path, like they're pointing to the middle path. Take that middle path. You've got the oppositions here. You're going to follow between them. And we're going into Libra, which is about harmony and resolution and balance. And it's the beginning. It's a cardinal energy. So it's the beginning of all of that. So for things to come out of the 29th degree and go into 0 degrees and all of our professor planets, those planets that take us through our lessons, they give us our syllabus, are all in retrograde right now. So all the professors are like on retreat somewhere, rethinking, okay, where they're getting ready to evolve into this next level. What do you think they need to know? Yeah, I think that's good. They're all in conversation. And then Saturn's up there kind of listening, like what a discipline are they going to ask me to have? It's listening and going, okay, back in retrograde a little bit, just thinking, reviewing, is this going to currently work for me, or do I need to change up my daily routines so this can now work for me, so that I can now adjust to this evolved syllabus that these professor planets are like in retrograde giving some thought to. Yeah.
Linda, were you going to say something?
I'm just thinking about Venus still. Thinking about Venus and the whole, like, having everything suffused with that energy, in terms of divine feminine. How forgiving in many ways the divine feminine can be, but also, I mean, sometimes fierce and exacting,
Mm-hmm.
but in service of your growth and evolution and your sovereignty, in service of that. So that's all, as we just talk about all of those themes, that's what keeps coming up for me, is how it's such a nurturing vibe, but at the same time, with that layer of like, and why are you doing it with that energy of constriction? Don't do anything with that energy. If you don't enjoy the process of the weeding, don't do the weeding. Find a way to enjoy it somehow, because it's for your growth.
I think that relates. I think it relates to the perfectionism too. Like, why are you striving for such rigid perfectionism? Why can't we find a enjoyable point of mastery that's like attainable and,
sustainable?
Yeah. I keep coming back to that, the perfectionism.
Yeah.
Chill out, y'all. Chill out.
Perfectionism is, what it's just this idea that's really got to stick up its ass, it's just not dancing,
It's not, there's
it's
no movement.
gotta dance.
There's no movement.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's not the point. The point is process toward of some sort of wholeness, whatever that means, and some sort of balance. And then just like, as long as we're still, again, making sure we're in our awareness, we have that receptive part of us that's allowing still. 'Cause when you get perfectionist, I think you lose the receptivity part.
Oh, absolutely.
In a big way.
Absolutely.
You're just like, no, I'm gotta be perfect. And so you just like block out so much richness that could come in. So, and laughter, I think when I feel Venus, and, she's having a ball, in mythology, she's like having affairs all the time. I mean, she even gets discovered by the gods. She's like going with Hephaestus, who's like he's working with all the metals, and he's like working with iron and the hot, and she's like,
muscles
and they're
glistening
like,
from sweat.
Yeah. Oh, we could talk about that all day. So, and like but the gods are like, we're going to make fun of them. Let's bring, this, they're like making love, and the gods like bring this net up, and like, and all, they're all, Venus does not care. Aphrodite, she's like, yeah, baby, this is life, right? She's having a good time. There's no shame there. It's not shame. Shame, perfectionism. Yeah, really useless. Let's weed those out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Divine feminine,
they're definitely not.
Weed that out.
They're not the highest form of the divine feminine at all. Either of them. It's like,
they're the extremes,
No.
like when you want things to be a specific way because you care, and that's great. But when you want it to be so perfect, so rigid, that loses all the warmth of it. It's no longer what you really wanted it to be, because the
Yeah.
most important thing
Yeah.
is that you're there, you're present, and you're having a good time. You're enjoying it. You're in the joy of life. Enjoy. Okay.
Exactly.
Love it.
Yes.
Love it.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think in terms of perfectionism, we had a whole document of notes for what we wanted in this episode. And we're already like 50 something minutes in. But I will bring us back to one part that we wrote down, which is, and I'll kind of combine what we were kind of thinking, but bringing the divine feminine into the day to day. So, how do we really see this in our daily living out of our lives? Obviously, we are mystics at the grocery store. And in a way, the act of traveling to the grocery store, evaluating the things at the grocery store that nourish us, like all of these acts of fueling ourselves, taking care of ourselves, discerning, like we talked about, discerning what is best for us to ingest for our highest alignment. All those acts of nourishing the self really are, in a way, a mundane embodiment of this divine feminine energy. And I think, we talked about this before recording, but really thinking of the divine feminine as like the temple. It is what you are caring for. It is, like we were saying about earth, it holds all of this that we've kind of discussed as, the earth element holds all other elements, and they wouldn't be able to exist without it. The body is the same sort of temple for all the energies, divine, feminine, masculine, everything. It is the vessel that carries everything. So in terms of how you all may see kind of bringing that divine feminine essence into your day to day, how do you see it playing out, or how do you work with it? Whether that be, like, I know, Melinda, in your dance, or, Adrienne, how you work with astrology, how you communicate with others, work with others, going through, I'm thinking of you at the veterinary hospital, and, how you have to be both nurturer and so many other aspects of feminine as well.
Yeah.
So what comes up for y'all?
Yeah, there's a lot of firm and flexible. You're in a situation where you have to be what I would consider masculine. Taking control. Like. This is a critical pace. I need to take care of it. I need to pull it away from you, pull it away from somebody that loves it. But if I don't, it won't survive. Those kinds of things come through. But then you also, there's that whole part of it, like, oh my gosh, if this was my pet, I just, sometimes I don't have time. But I always go back in once things have settled, and I always apologize. I didn't mean to take them away from you that quickly. It was just critical. And they always understand it. But it's definitely, you're on that tightrope of how you're going to handle the situation. And there really is a firm and flexible that has to occur. And it's the same thing as a swim coach, as a mindfulness coach, and as a mentor. You got to know, like, when to be a little bit more masculine and assert, and give them a challenge that's going to make them go and feel uncomfortable. But once they're on the other side, they're going to feel empowered. So, like, that empowerment's coming after that discomfort, but you have to let them kind of feel it and know it. And so there, again, you've got that dance between the masculine and the feminine. I don't even know if I even answered your question at that point in time. And
You did.
and then for me personally, paying attention what I pick up out of the grocery store. And once I eat it, did it make my body feel the way I want my body to feel? Or did I have some kind of allergic? Didn't feel right, maybe felt too stuffed, maybe didn't like the way I felt after the next day. To me, those are allergic signs for me. If it did make my body feel good the next day, I don't necessarily want to eat it every day. Although I love ice cream. But so, things of that nature, and understanding that my body has evolved to a different level as well. Like, I need more protein and I need more healthy fats. So that's how I take it through my day to day, and increasing my level of activity whenever I can. And then, like those days where I can just sit in a meditation for a good 20 minutes.
The nurturing,
I know,
the
like
self-care.
that beauty. It's like a bubble bath for me, So, and then I get to play with the stars. So that kind of gives me a guideline. Like, I know it's coming. I know there's a challenge coming. Saturn is just having too many conversations with people. So I know there's some challenges, but you know what? Jupiter is having some wonderful conversations too. So there's so many gifts, and the gift that Saturn is really speaking very loudly about is self-care, with it being in Cancer.
So much divine feminine goodness. What about you, Melinda? How do you see that in the day-to-day?
Well, I have a concept, but I first want to just acknowledge that Adrienne's work, it's really intense to be in the emergency, veterinary department. Like that is its own, but as you were speaking, even though you were describing having like, yes, you have to take away, you have to be, have the masculine energy of this or that, but at the same time, I feel that the awareness around all of it is divine feminine energy.
Absolutely.
So that is, that's the matrix you're operating within. The bigger picture is you're serving life, and you have to do what you have to do to heal your patient.
Yep.
And so she's there, the divine feminine is like completely present, even with all the other energies, but she's the matrix of it. As you were talking, I was just feeling that, because you're very, that's what you're doing. And it seems like a very challenging tightrope to walk, and you do it with grace, Adrienne. We hear about your stories, and you really do. So you brought up the word grace. I don't know about ease. It's not easy, and it's So, but for me, in the day to day, the self-care for me is meditating, yes, is connecting with myself, with doing my spiritual practice in the morning, so that I can really go and flow into the day with presence and with, an understanding, and with a open kind of quality of like, okay, unexpected things may happen. I'm going to flow with those. I may encounter people in their distress, in their challenge moments. That's okay. That doesn't have to disrupt my frequency. I want to get in the car, that I say, thank you, car. I have my music or podcast or whatever I want to listen to, and I enjoy my drive to the supermarket, to the grocery store. I want to be present in all of those moments, and be not rushing. I don't like rushing. If I can possibly not rush, and like have planned my day such that there's like buffer room in there. No, I don't want to be like, come in. I don't want to enter a space, even the grocery store, with like, I'm stressed, I have to get this. I want to go in and like, I want to be the breathing goddess in the grocery store, you know?
Selecting.
I want to be, and I usually am, you know, that's why I'm sort of, as I said, I go there now for like, I'm wandering around, you know, smelling the fruit. Anyway, but like the enjoying, I enjoy it. I like I'm like, I want to have the open awareness even to like observe other people with like, and laugh or not laugh at them. I just mean like, I'll see like little kids being cute. Yeah, and not laugh at them. I don't.
I just want to go and point and laugh at people.
That does not know. I do not do that.
You mean. You know,
don't do that.
You're in joy when you see somebody giggling.
I'm like, look at
and
them.
you know, yeah.
Look at the kid. Or I'm just like, I see a mother and her child, and they're in the eternal battle of the kid wants something, and they're like, and I'm just like, oh my God, I'm so glad I'm not in that state anymore with my child. But also like, you know, I always want to be like, have a friendly smile for the person, you know, or just like, you know, or the kids looking at you, look at the kid, like not, you know, it's a community event to be there. It doesn't mean we have to connect deeply, but like, I sort of can pick up on things about what's going on. I'm fascinated by people. So, you know, and,
and that reads as like being receptive and open to experiences rather than like having your blinders on and
right. Clicking. I mean, that has its time. Okay. If I have to go be efficient, I'll be efficient. But I want to enjoy, my minutia of my day. I'm a detail woman. But in the sense of like, I love to enjoy my details. I love to have chosen my pen that I love and to write with it and to flow the ink in a certain way. We all just like everything.
I have a whole box. It has to be these pens. I'm sorry.
I order these by the bushel. Yeah, exactly.
bushel.
Bushel. Don't fall over.
The mega box.
The mega. Yeah, I like all of that, and it's like the fluid of the ink must
you know,
flow.
the way it flows. Yeah, agreed.
We want our pens to be divinely feminine,
yes,
not
firm
divinely
and flexible.
masculine.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It needs a point. You know, it needs a point.
Mm-hmm.
There is a phallic part of this.
We could go into this. Is the pen feminine and masculine?
Yes,
or the other way around?
I think it. Well, and it's also what's the hand that holds it. You know, what is the energy of the hand that holds it? You know, like,
talking about the mundane. I love it.
Oh, nicely put. That's really interesting. That I wrote down presence for possibilities. You know, you want to be present for the possibilities of being in joy. Again, bringing it back that whole, you know, living in the joy, being in joy.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah, I think for me too, a lot of what you guys were saying, I just think about how in my day-to-day, I really have been trying to do the things that make me feel good. Like you're saying, Melinda, like, if I'm in the car, what am I listening to? What's going to make me feel better than I would be at neutral, I guess, if in silence or whatever. But yeah, it's how am I treating myself? How am I taking care of myself? And like you were saying, Adrienne, what am I eating? What am I drinking? What am I, you know, how am I dealing with a situation that might be stressful or, you know, take a lot out of me? Is it that I'm nurturing myself through it, or have I lost the plot and kind of, you know, turned into blinders, efficiency, what have you? But yeah, so I guess I would just really encourage everyone listening to pay attention to how the divine feminine is present in your day to day, and how you may be able to bring it more into what you are doing, how you're acting, how you're thinking, how you're feeling, like the ways that you create opportunity for the divine feminine to kind of be that vessel that holds everything for you as you journey through your path. Yeah, beautiful, beautiful things. Any other last little bits?
Yeah, with that, this eclipse energy for me could feel very masculine, because it's definitely shaking up things. It's telling you you're pivoting, whether you want to pivot or not.
It's shaking up so much. I have been shook.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so what was my train of thought again? Okay, so I could see that as the masculine energy, this eclipse energy. It's changing. It's transfer. It's not really asking you at this point in time. You are going to move in a different direction. You're going to go. I'm with you. Let's go. And then that feminine energy. Completely lost my train of thought. Eclipse energy, feminine energy, gone. Absolutely gone.
Brain got derailed.
I did with the laughter.
That's good. That's
But I forgot my thought.
It'll come
Am
back.
I whining? I'm really whining, aren't I? I can't remember. But that eclipse energy being the masculine, and then the feminine energy being something. But maybe it will come back to me. Maybe it won't.
It'll come back. It'll come back. Any final thoughts, Melinda?
Well, just circling back to reclaiming the temple of your body in ways that, where you do, as you said, Rosalyn,
writing it down,
frame it as framing every, experience as, well, how good can this feel? We talked about this a long time ago, Adrienne. How good can this feel? How good can this day feel? It's going to feel, we can set the, I don't know, the energetics. We can invite in a place for us to feel even better, to really honor what makes us, as you said, feel good. And what could even be better than, and it's like noticing, part of it is noticing when we're like not feeling great. And when we have denied something about the temp. And I'm talking about, and this is not a final last word. I think I just opened another can of worms. But like, if you have to, okay, if you have to pee, okay, don't hold it in.
It's true. It's very true.
Take care of your body.
Go
say,
pee.
Excuse me, I must go to the temple and make my deposit. You must honor the body's needs on that level. Drink your water before you're thirsty. Have it on hand. That is going to help your energetics flow so much better, So again, I think life is about drinking tea and peeing. And that's pretty much that's it.
Motto for life.
And have a good time.
And have a good time doing it.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so what I was saying was that, and I had to write it down. So the eclipse energy is very masculine, and you're going to go through this. You can either go through it with ease and grace, because it's going to happen. That ease and grace is that feminine side saying it's going to happen. We're ready for this. Let's just do it. But they're surrendering it into the trust of the universe, and not just like holding everything so tight. Like it's just restrictive. It's not restrictive. It's receptive. It's okay. We're going to accept this in. We're going to grow with it. We're going to be with it. Because this is the direction that I am pivoting into. It's time for a change.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, being open to the transformations and the shifts and the things that have fallen away from the syllabus, and being receptive to all of that as we reclaim our temples and honor our bodies and
enjoy
all
the
of the
earthquake.
Juicy.
Enjoy
the earthquake.
And when it goes out of your mind,
shake you.
Yeah, be shook. And then let all the thoughts go out of your mind. Don't remember and then just like you've emptied, and then you'll fill in again with even better ideas.
Yes.
And maybe put on a new change of clothes.
Yes. And there's some nice essential oil. Are you speaking to me? What are you saying?
Is that because she didn't get to the bathroom to go pee? So that's why she has to change
during
her
the earthquake. She's released herself during the earthquake.
Gotta
she
watch.
needs another change of
That's
clothes.
another podcast story. Don't get me started.
No, the thing that I was thinking of when you were saying you don't like to rush. The last time that I saw you rushed was when we were all in San Diego trying to find that crystal store when it closed in like 8 minutes.
When it comes, okay, I will do it. Right? We made it.
She can be efficient.
Oh my
And you know
God.
what? We found the store.
We did.
Oh yeah.
With time to
I think I
spare.
even I think I even have like a tiny clip of you rushing around. I'll have to look.
Oh
and
no,
see
I
if it's on my
definitely
phone.
I definitely go into that mode if necessary. That is the fierce
Yes.
goddess. That is the goddess who's like, oh, we're gonna make this happen. This is happening. We're going to the crystal store. We're getting in. And then that woman is so psychic because she was like, knew it's like they stayed open for us.
They did.
They knew we were coming.
did.
They
Yeah.
knew. Deep down, they knew.
They did. But like sometimes, yeah. No, but that was fun. That was a joyful rush. Like that's
was a
when I'm like,
joyful rush.
I'm like filled with the holy fire of efficiency in a different way. Yeah. That's what I'm like, we're gonna
We're
do
going to
this.
get there.
Because this is fun. No, this is fucking fun.
Is everyone having fun? You better be having fun.
Run to the crystal store. And it was so fun.
My gosh.
Yeah.
It was so fun. To be had again, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I'll try to reel us in, but
You have a difficult job.
I hope that everybody takes away some practical thing to try to do to bring in and evaluate and kind of sit with the divine feminine within yourself and the divine masculine so that you can see the duality of both and recognize the shifts between the two. But yes, this is such a big topic too. I feel like we could come back for more episodes about divine feminine, divine masculine. I guess let us know, have you enjoyed the topic or any topic? Is there anything that you are curious for us to talk about? Leave us comments, head to our Instagram, follow us. Let us know what seems interesting to you, or maybe even like what of the mundane day to day, or what even of the grocery store would you like for us to take a spiritual detour on? But yeah, so we just so appreciate that you have listened and joined us again, and we will be back in a couple of weeks. But until then, enjoy all the wonderful, receptive, joyful energies of divine feminine as we close out eclipse season and continue to purify and move through this beautiful season. So we will see you all next time.
Bye.
See you, everybody. Keep
Bye.
breathing. Keep smiling.
And drink your
Enjoy.
tea.
Enjoy.
Enjoy.
life.
Bye.
Bye.